Welcome to the Explainer. You ever stop and wonder how we just take a jumble of words and somehow make sense of them? Well, today we're going behind the curtain and cracking the secret code of language. We're talking about the fundamental building blocks, the parts of speech. So here's the game plan. We'll start with a big picture look at what parts of speech even are. Then we're going to zoom in on each type of word, the ones that name things, the ones that show action, and all the rest. And finally, we'll see how all those pieces click together to build the sentences we use every single day. All right, let's dive right in. First question, what are these parts of speech really? Okay, imagine you just dumped out a giant box of Legos. You've got all these different bricks, right? But if you want to build a spaceship, you need to know which pieces are the wings, which one's the cockpit, and which ones are the little laser cannons. Language is exactly the same. The individual words are our bricks, and each one has its own special job. That's what parts of speech are.
And here's the cool part. Pretty much every word in the English language can be sorted into just one of these 8 main categories. That's it, just 8. Each one plays a unique role in making a sentence work. So, you ready to meet the team?
Every good structure, whether it's a building or a sentence, needs a solid foundation. And in language, that foundation is built with the naming words.
First step, and probably the most important block, is the noun. Super simple. A noun is just a name. It could be a person, like a firefighter, a place, like a beach, a thing, like a guitar, or even a big idea, like justice. If you can name it, you're probably looking at a noun.
Now, nouns come in 2 main flavors. You've got your general, everyday common nouns like girl or city, but when you need to be specific, you use a proper noun like Mina or London. And here's the giveaway. Proper nouns always get a capital letter. It's like their VIP pass.
Okay, nobody wants to hear the same name over and over. Mina went to Mina's car to get Mina's keys. It just sounds clunky, right? Well, that's where our next hero comes in, the pronoun. Think of them as handy shortcuts for nouns.
So instead of that awkward repetition, we just swap in a pronoun. Justball has gone to meet his friend. See that? The word his steps in for Justballs, and the whole sentence just flows so much better.
Okay, so we've got our nouns, the people, places, and things. But right now, they're all just kind of standing there. Let's give them something to do. It's time to fire up the engine of the sentence, the action words.
And that engine is the verb. Verbs are what give a sentence its power, its movement. They're usually action words, like jump, think, or sing. But they can also just show a state of being, words like is, was, or seems. Honestly, without a verb, a sentence is just a list of stuff.
Check this out. Jacob walks in the morning. The verb here is walks. It's the action. It's what Jacob is actually doing. It's as simple as that.
All right, our sentence has a foundation and an engine. It works, but it's a little plain, don't you think? Let's add some personality, some detail, some color. It's time for the describing words.
First, we have the adjective. An adjective's whole job is to describe a noun. It answers questions like, what kind is it, or which one? In a sentence like, Sita is a clever girl, the word clever is our adjective. We don't just know she's a girl, we know she's a clever girl. It adds that extra layer of info.
Now, the other type of describing word is the adverb. If adjectives describe nouns, adverbs usually describe verbs. They tell us how, when, or where an action is happening.
And this slide lays out the difference perfectly. On the left, the lazy boy. Lazy is telling us about the boy, the noun. So that's our adjective. But on the right, he ran quickly. Quickly tells us how he ran. It describes the verb, so that's our adverb. One describes the thing, the other describes the doing. It's a simple distinction, but a super powerful one. So now we've got our main pieces, nouns, verbs, and words to describe them. But they're still just floating around like separate pieces. To make real sentences, we need to connect them. We need the glue.
And we have 2 main types of glue in our toolkit. First, there are prepositions, these tiny little words like on, under, or through, that show how things relate to each other in space or time. Then we have conjunctions, words like and, but, and or, that are like the ultimate connectors, joining words and even whole ideas together.
And here they are in the wild.
The dog is under the table. The preposition under physically links the dog and the table. I like apples and oranges. The conjunction and hooks those two nouns together into one thought. See, so simple. And finally, what about when you just need to shout out with a burst of feeling? Wow, hey, ouch. For that, we've got interjections. They're short, punchy words that show strong emotion, but aren't really connected to the rest of the sentence's grammar. They're just pure feeling.
Okay, we have officially met all the building blocks. Now for the grand finale. Let's see how all these different parts work together in a real sentence to create one complete picture.
Take a look at this sentence. He sauntered proudly across the stage. You can totally picture that, right? A guy walking with swagger. Now let's put on our X-ray glasses and see how all the parts we've learned are working together under the hood.
And there it is, all broken down. He is our pronoun. Sauntered, that's our verb, the action. How did he saunter? Proudly, that's our adverb. Across is the preposition, showing the relationship between the action and the place. And what was the place? The stage, our noun. Look at that. Every single word has a job, and they're all working in perfect harmony.
So, there you have it, the 8 core building blocks of the English language. You know, understanding these parts isn't just about grammar homework. It's about knowing how to build stronger, clearer ideas. It gives you the power to really say what you mean. So now that you know all the pieces, what are you going to build?